Chapter 792, The Fool's Authority. The hermit similarly thought of the world Jayamon Sparrow, from hearing the Beyonder powers, which were recorded in Leymano's travels. I wonder if I can pay a certain price to get the fool to showcase demigod powers of the storm pathway as well as his domain. This will be better than seeking the help of the Moses ascetic order. That will make them know of my possession of Leymano's travels. I should first write to Her Majesty. Perhaps she will come to the future to showcase her powers. Katlia was increasingly convinced that the spellbook had a value that exceeded its level, and was very regretful that Miss Magician was only renting it. After hearing the description, Emlyn heaved a sigh of relief. This was because the Beyonder powers like lightning were very lethal against artificial vampires. Of course, it was the same for Sanguine. Very good. I was still worried about needing to seek the sun's help and passing Leymano's travels to him to get him to showcase purification powers to be recorded. Emlyn instantly became relaxed as he glanced at Derek beside him while saying to Fours, "Deal." £400, with the recording of a few Beyonder powers, was nothing compared to the completion of his mission. I can earn money quickly and also obtain Beyonder powers this way. Fours suddenly felt that her future was bright as she hurriedly smiled. All right, I'll get Mr. Fool to transfer it to you after the gathering. Right on the heels of that, she turned to say to Katlia, "Ma'am, the Abraham family's direct descendant has given a reply. Do you wish to communicate privately or have me directly say it out loud?" Katlia thought and said, "Let's do it privately." Soon, the others had their senses blocked as Fours recounted what her teacher said. They don't know much about Mr. Dorr either. They only know two things, no three. First, among their ancestors, there is an existence known as Mr. Dorr. Second, this ancestor vanished in the War of the Four Emperors. They've been struggling to find him. Third, they will hear ravings that can cause a loss of control during the full moon and blood moon. In addition, they temporarily do not wish to make any direct contact. The third point was added by Fours by herself. She wished that Ma'am Hermit and the Queen Mystic behind her could use this to further understand Mr. Dorr's matters. This was beneficial in helping the Abraham escape the fate of being cursed. Mr. Dorr is the Abraham family's ancestor, and he vanished in the War of the Four Emperors. He would create ravings during full moons. The latter was confirmed by Mr. Fool, so there's nothing suspicious. That is to say that although Mr. Dorr has vanished, he still can affect Beyonders of the same bloodline, as well as living beings that used certain items during the full moon and blood moon. This means that he hasn't completely lost his connection with the real world. This is how the Emperor was able to interact with him. Her Majesty once said that there were members of the Abraham family who worked for the Emperor back then. Katlia had some theories, as she gently nodded. If there are any questions, I'll get you to pass them on. I'll pay the remaining £650 today. With £650, along with Mr. Moon's £400, I've made a profit of £1,050 today. Together with the £730 from before, as well as the sale of the two properties to pay Mr. World, I might still have £1,000 left. My savings are about to exceed £3,000. This way, I'll have the money needed to purchase the other main ingredient for Scribe. I might still have some left over. At that moment, Fours suddenly found herself a little wealthy. This made her consider helping purchase the Interrogator Beyonder characteristic for Zio to make up for the risk she had to endure over Mr. X's assassination. After the blocking of senses was lifted, Fours heard the world Jayamon Sparrow speak before she could say a word. I need a mystical item from the Marauder pathway. It can be at sequence 9 or 8. Katlia considered for a moment and said, I can ask around for you. However, items of the Marauder pathway aren't common. There might be a premium involved. No problem. Klein controlled the world to provide the response. He then made his marionette look at the now wealthy Miss Magician. I want to sell an Interrogator Beyonder characteristic for only £1,000. Typically, this sequence 7 Beyonder characteristic which could be used as a main ingredient should have been priced around £1,200, but Klein had 2 sets at the moment. Furthermore, Considering how he had used Miss Zio's identity to participate in Mr. X's gathering, there was a certain degree of danger he was bringing to her. Therefore, he gave a slight discount. It's only £1,000. That's like a sale at a department store. But why does Mr. World know that I want it? He is Mr. Fool's blessed. The interrogator beyonder characteristic was in his hands, and he is also aware that I can now afford it. Fours was stunned for 2 seconds, as she nearly forgot to reply. During this process, Audrey held back the urge to engage in shopping, because she knew that Zio needed the item. £1,000, an interrogator's beyonder characteristic. Katlia seriously thought over the hidden intent behind the world when she heard Miss Magician say, "Deal." "I haven't even made my offer." Katlia mumbled inwardly as she maintained her silence. She could tell that the world and the magician had reached a strange level of understanding on this matter, so she didn't interject. Similarly, she also sensed that something good had happened to the hanged man this week. He appeared more spirited than before, appearing more confident. He previously purchased the potion formula and main ingredients to Ocean Songster. He had also asked me where obnintsks that do not belong to the Church of Storms can be found. This is likely related to the ritual. He has already advanced. Katlia suddenly felt a sense of danger. As the Admiral of Stars who was famous throughout the 5 seas, she always felt a sense of superiority in the Tarot Club. But in recent times, with the world Jayaman Sparrow showing his ability at hunting pirate admirals, followed by the Hanged Man reaching Sequence 5, a Sequence 5 that made him adept at sea battles, she felt that she no longer had the right to belittle others. She felt a sense of urgency that hadn't existed in her for a long time. However, I have Sequence 4 ahead of me. It's the boundary between spirituality and godhood. It's not that easy to advance. I still don't see any hope despite preparing for years. Katlia sighed inwardly as she looked at the world Jayaman Sparrow and asked, "Any chances for the blood of a mythical creature?" "I've been waiting for you to ask this." The Fool Klein smiled while watching the transactions as he controlled the world to hoarsely laugh. "That angel got me to ask you what you can give him in exchange for a drop of blood. He emphasizes that it needs to satisfy him." Angel, Mr. World directly contacted an angel. Furthermore, he has convinced the angel to provide a drop of blood. Audrey was first alarmed before her thoughts raced as she turned to look at the seat of honor. She suspected that the world, Mr. Fool's blessed, had contacted an angel that was in service to Mr. Fool. She was like the magician, believing that the world only knew of clues to the location of an angel or its remains. They never expected him to directly converse with an angel. One had to know that the grounded angels were equivalent to the leaders of the 7 churches. Indeed. Alger sighed silently, believing that his guess has been verified. As expected of Mr. Fool's blessed. Katlia held back her surprise and shock as she pondered. "May I know what pathway this angel is from?" The world surveyed the area and said, "Monster." Monster, which means it's an angel from the fate pathway. It's no wonder Mr. Fool's honorific name has the words King of Yellow and Black who wields good luck. Audrey, Derek, and company were enlightened, believing that their inferences matched the actual situation and the inherent logic. Their gazes and guesses stirred Klein. He realized a corresponding problem. In the honorific name he fabricated, the description of wielding good luck had successfully been directed towards the mysterious space above the gray fog. Is this related to why the people from the fate pathway can see my uniqueness? Could this be related to why the Snake of Mercury, Will Ossipton, took the initiative to establish friendly ties with me? In my honorific name's 3 lines, the first line is a description of my inherent self, and the second is about the corresponding divine domain. Only the third line involves the authority, wields good luck. Of course, the Fool itself can also contain a certain amount of authority. Klein suddenly felt that he needed to find an opportunity to communicate with the unborn fetus. However, he suspected that the paper crane would tear at any moment. This was because just erasing the original content was already a rather precarious process. At this moment, Katlia said, "Thanks for your help. I will seriously consider it and give you a response as soon as possible." She planned on consulting Queen Mystic to see if there were any conditions that would entice an angel from the fate pathway. With the conversation between the world and the hermit ending, the transactions came to a formal end. The tarot gathering then proceeded into a period for free communication. Force thought for a moment and looked at Emlyn. I'd like to remind you of two things. First, be familiar with the powers on each corresponding page. It will be very dangerous if you were to flip to the wrong page and use the wrong power in combat. Emlyn scoffed immediately as he said, I'm very confident in my intelligence. Force didn't speak further and switched to mentioning. A serious case involving Beyonders happened in Eastborough. The surrounding region is on high alert. If you plan on carrying out any operations, take note of that. Emlyn viewed this piece of information with great importance as he asked, Are you aware of what happened?